And we are live on Facebook. We are live on Facebook and we are live on Zoom. Thank you very much to all the listeners, all the viewers who are currently watching this show raw live with me, Rohit Bassi, and obviously all the people who are going to listen to this later. Today's guest is an amazing individual. I had seen him in the past, just in passing, and then I met him approximately, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. So let me introduce this wonderful, wonderful soul. Our guest today is a peak mental performance expert and a motivational speaker. He is a Guinness World Record holder, 2011, in memory and a Grand Master of Memory. For more than 20 years, he has served and supported companies like Coca-Cola, Singapore Police Force, Shanghai Airport, to name a few. Millions of viewers have watched him in action. This is live. They've seen him in action. And his media features on the Discovery Channel, South China Morning Post, Channel News, Asia, ZTV, and many more channels. He's the creator of 2 online programs, Supercharge Your Memory Power and the Output Club for business owners, professionals, and executives. Let us meet our awesome guest, Nishant Kasibhatla. I probably pronounced that wrong. He'll clarify that for me, who helps executives, managers, and leaders to cultivate a high performance mindset and boost their focus. And that's what we need a lot nowadays, and productivity. Thank you, Nishant, for joining us. Thank you to you for being here on Raw Live.
Hey, thanks, Rohit, for the introduction. I'm really, really excited to share what I have and also take some questions. And yeah, I mean, like what you said, the first time we met, like I think 2-3 years ago, and then we've been in touch. And yeah, now we are doing this live. So I'm really excited, man.
So this is so you're going to talk to us about the output principle. Learn faster, focus better, and get phenomenal results in your personal and professional life. That's what you're going to focus. Before we go on to it, for our audience, for our listeners, for our viewers, a little bit of background. How did you get to where you are? Give you 3-4 minutes to just get a background understanding of who you are.
Yeah, it's a great question. And it always, people ask me, I mean, the common question that people ask me when they hear that I broke a Guinness record or I became a grandmaster of memory, one of the questions I get is, Nishant, when did you realize you had this good memory? Now, that is unbelievable because I get this question all the time because I did not realize I had a good memory. It was something that I have trained myself to have a good memory, because many years ago when I was like 14, 15, 16 years old, I had a lousy memory. So right now I might have broken a Guinness record, but many years ago I used to hold a Guinness record in forgetting. So that's how bad my memory was. And that was where the starting point was, because I was one of those people who was really struggling to remember information. I couldn't do well in school. And I still remember one of the most embarrassing things was I dreaded going to parties or friends events or some kind of networking events because, people tell me their name. And it's not like, they're from multicultural. I mean, I'm from Hyderabad and I'm meeting people in Hyderabad. I know these names. These are not like foreign sounding names. And I couldn't remember these names also. And also I had this fear of going out. So I was thinking, I must do something about it. But this was like way before the internet. I mean,
yes.
And so now, come on, you can Google it. You can do 20 different things. You can go to YouTube and you can learn a lot of information. But back then, the only way you could do that is either you ask people or you read books. And I did the first thing. I asked people how to improve their memory. And this is the danger of asking the wrong people, because unfortunately, I didn't know. I was a kid. I just wanted to learn information. So the couple of people I asked them, they told me that, Nishant, oh, you want to improve your memory? You have a problem with your memory? I said, yes, I have. What can you do? And they said, nothing. I said, what do you mean? I said, nothing, man. That's it. If you have a headache, you can go to your doctor. If you have a stomach ache, you can go to your doctor. If you have a memory problem, where do you go? That's it. You live with it. So I was really disappointed. But fortunately, my dad was a journalist and he had got access to a good library. And British library actually. And then I went and I got a couple of books on how the mind works, how the memory works. And that is the first time I realized that human brain and human memory actually is something that you can train, something that you can make it better. And that was the starting point. And I was really fascinated with what other people have done at that time with their brain powers. And because I had my problem, I took it as a challenge. Okay, oh, all these people have done, and I was this Dumbo as far as memory is concerned. So can I really go to the next level? And I did something which I'll talk about later. For the next 3 months, the word is immerse.
Okay.
Immerse. I totally immersed myself, I kind of to the level of obsession, I would say, for the next 3 months. And what happened on the other end of the 3 months is I broke all the Indian national records in memory. So think about that.
3 months.
In 3 months, yeah, that's true. And then I realized, okay, two things. I realized that number one, if you're really immersed in something, you can do great things. And number two, hey, I was a person who had a bad memory, and I'm breaking all these national records. And naturally, people start asking me, hey, how do you do it? How do you do it? And I said, yeah, this is techniques. This is how you do it. And they started asking me, Nishant, can you share it with us? So I was a kid. I didn't know how to speak. I was not even having good English communication skills. I just, in a raw way, just like you would chat with a friend. Let's say you read a book and then you just share what you read from in the book to your friend in a dinner table, right? That's exactly how it all started. And then the more and more I started sharing this information, the more and more, the much better I became. Because, I know you've heard this, and everyone who's listening right now, you heard this thing before. The best way to learn something is to teach it. But at that time, I was teaching it kind of, I was not a teacher or I was a speaker or a trainer. I was just sharing, discussing, and I became good at it. And then people started getting results from what I was sharing. And then I have now formulated an entire formula, which is what I call Supercharging Memory. So in my online course, that's exactly what I teach. How I went from a person who had a lousy memory to breaking the Guinness record to become a grandmaster. And the thing is, hey, I know that you don't want to be a Guinness record holder. You don't want to be a grandmaster of memory. You don't want to memorize a deck of cards, but you definitely have to remember things in your life. So it's not about memorizing, grandmaster. I mean, who cares, man? I mean, people don't want to be grandmaster of memory, but they definitely want to be a grandmaster in their own results.
Yes.
That's what the skill can really help. So yeah, I mean, one thing led to another, and it's been a great, awesome journey. And I still look back and I'm just thinking, what if I didn't have access to those books? What would my life be? And I dread thinking about it, because one of the best things that I believe that can happen to someone, I'm really fortunate and grateful for that, is if your passion becomes your profession. And what else can you ask for? So I think that is what is happening in my life. So that is the whole thing of how I got into this thing, and started with memory, and then slowly got into motivational speaking. And now, because in the changing times that we have, I realized that people are struggling with focus, struggling with productivity. So using these brain power techniques, I realized that not only you can have a better learning, better memory, but also you can have better focus, better productivity, and take more action towards your goals. And that is where I am right now in 2020.
Okay, so I've got a very, very here's a tough question for you.
Perfect.
Yeah, you ready for this? So in that time when you were learning or finding a way to improve your memory, did your mother or did any one of your relatives come up to you and say, have almonds? Because that's usually the formula for it.
Okay, so here's the thing. First, the answer is no. No one said it, because no one knew that I was doing this. I was just locked in my room and just doing, and people think, okay, he's just doing some crazy stuff, reading books all the time.
You're a teenager. You were a teenager at this time, and you locked yourself in your room.
Yes, and that's the only thing I was doing was doing that. So, but subsequently, when I started, doing all these things, so this is the next question people ask me: oh, what do you eat? And so much on what do you, I mean, I get this all the time. Nishant, tell me something quick. Okay, what? I don't have the time for all these techniques. So give me something quick. And what can I eat to improve your memory? Now, if learning skills was as easy as eating something, man, everyone will be rich and famous, and everyone will be skillful in everything. So yes, food does play a role, but I can tell you, I broke the Guinness record without almonds, without apricot, and all those things. Walnut. I mean, the thing I get a lot more than almonds is walnut. because almonds is mostly in India, but rest of the world is usually walnut. And the most amazing thing is they tell me the walnut looks like the brain.
So it's good for the brain.
It's true. Actually, the thing is, yes, walnuts are good. Any nuts are good for the general health of the brain. Now, because you asked this question, let me just tell you this very, very important thing. And this can open up a lot of limiting beliefs that people have about this. I can tell you this thing. First of all, whatever is good for the body is good for the brain. Right? So if you're eating unhealthy food, it's not good for the brain. If you're eating healthy food, it's good for the brain. That's number one. Number two, you can have a healthy brain and you can still be dumb. I'll explain to you what that means.
Okay.
Eating almonds, eating all those, these foods, brain boosting foods, they'll actually improve the health of the brain, just like you can improve the health of the heart. Brain is also an organ in the body, right? So it improves your health of the brain. Improving your health of the brain doesn't mean that the function of the brain is going to go up. It can, it might, but you can't bank on that. So, I mean, the classic thing is people tell me that, hey, Nishant, no, what you're saying is wrong because I've been having almonds for the last so many years and every day, and I have a good memory. Oh, really? Did you eat your almonds today?
Okay, so that's a great myth buster. Thank you very much for that. Now, you talk about this output principle. What is this output principle? Because I've heard you speak about it earlier on in one of your online free events which you were doing to help speakers and trainers to get online products online. And you kept on mentioning this output principle, and you briefly spoke about it. Could you explain for the listeners, the viewers, what it is and go into a bit more detail what is involved in it?
Yeah, so thank you very much, because this is my newest thing here, and I've been doing it for I think 4 or 5 years now. But I think only in the last 1 year, people are really getting spectacular results from this whole concept. Now, here's the thing: the best way to introduce what is the output principle is by taking you through the typical day that people have. Now, Rohit, you can think about your typical day, and the people who are listening to me right now live, or people if you're watching a recording, welcome. And think of your typical day. I mean, what do? I mean, take out the things which are essential things, like going to the toilet, driving to work, which driving to work is not there in many countries right now. But yeah, I mean, the things, just take out all those things. But let's talk about other things that we do. So most of the things that we do: reading books, reading emails, listening to podcasts, watching videos, reading articles, and going to meetings. That is what we do. And of course, depending on what kind of department and what kind of work profile you have, you also do certain other things like writing a proposal, calling clients, and all these things. So my question to you is, if you were to classify most of the things that you do in your day, and you have to classify between input and output. And I'll tell you what is input, output. Input means things that you consume, things that you learn. Like, for example, reading, you're consuming it, you're learning it, that is input. You're putting something inside your brain. So right now, people who are watching this, that is input, right? So think about the things. Okay, if you were to tag all these activities that you do in your life, most of the time, think about are they input or output? Okay, now what is output? Output means things that you produce, things that you take action. In fact, the definition of output, the dictionary definition, is something that is produced. So what did you produce today? What did you take action on? So input is what you learn, and output is what you do with what you learn. So, and I ask this question to many people from different departments, different profiles, and most of the time, I mean, for those of you who are doing it, who are watching this right now, just do a self-reflection. Do you spend more time on input, or do you spend more time on output? Now, don't get me wrong, we need input, because we are living in this challenging times, and the only way in which we can navigate this is by learning new ways of doing things. But the big problem is, if you are consistently doing input, and more input, the danger is input is addictive. The more you learn, the more you want to learn, and people want to learn because learning is so good. The problem is learning is good and learning is in a way lazy because you're not doing anything. It's intellectual entertainment. Learning without benefiting from it is intellectual entertainment and nothing else. In fact, in psychology, there's this thing called as illusion of competence. Okay. Think about that. People read 10 books and say, oh, I read these 10 books on this topic. Okay. Yeah. But did that translate into your life? That is a very important thing. So that's the reason why I say that lifelong implementation is more important than lifelong learning. And that is what the output principle is all about. So output principle is do not focus too much on the input. You need to have the input, but just don't get addicted to that. And the other problem also is when people are using too much of input, they get overwhelmed. And that overwhelm makes them not to take the output. So there's actually danger in getting into that learning loop. So learn, this is what I say, learn a little, act a lot. Learn a little, act a lot. And then, of course, in the process, you might say, make some mistakes, but hey, at least you're progressing. I mean, people who have achieved great things in their life, it's not that, they just got it in the first shot. They made tons of mistakes. And making mistakes is a part of output. When you do something, that is when you make a mistake, which is actually a good thing, right? So yeah, that is the general premise of where I'm coming from. It's about, that's the reason why I say output is more important than input. Now, in fact, if you take a resolution right now, that every day I will block off 2 hours. And in that 2 hours, there'll be absolutely no input, no watching TV, no watching Netflix, no podcast, no reading, no going to meetings, no consumption. Only thing I'm going to do is do some kind of output. Calling clients, it's an output. Sending a proposal is an output. Doing an exercise of what you learn, that is an output. Creating content, if you're a content creator, that is output, right? Writing down your speech, that is an output. So if you can spend 2 hours, 100% laser sharp focus with zero input, you will see that you will have a major shift in the way you're doing things in your life. So that is, in a nutshell, I think it's a big nutshell, I would say.
What nuts again?
It's a big nutshell. Walnut shell, I guess. Yeah.
So to the listeners and the viewers, just to let you know, if you want to ask a question, just put it in the chat, in the comments, and Nishant will, at the end of the session, answer your questions, certainly. So please do on Facebook or on Zoom, just put into the chat what your questions are. Now, there's one thing which happens with all of us, and this is something which you talk during your talks as well, distraction from technology. How can one person, because now we are in a situation where we have to use technology literally for everything. We're in that big situation. And for many of us across the globe, it went to a point where we were not even allowed outside our house. It was everything technology based, even with the work which we're doing. So how does one minimize that distraction or eliminate that distraction from technology and focus on getting into that output?
Great. That's a great question. Thank you very much for asking that, because I feel that it is a myth that we have to be constantly attached to technology. Because the thing is, people don't know otherwise. Did you ever unplug for an extended period of time? Only then can you weigh, hey, is this good or is bad? Because people are dreaded even for 1 minute of absence from technology because of the fear of missing out, right? Now, many years ago, I made this big and bold decision in my life. And this was like very difficult for me because this goes against my core, right? And that is to stop the newspaper subscription. And it's like, I think 5 or 6 years now. And, I've been like my dad, my mom, this is the first thing, all my life growing up, the first thing, newspaper boy just goes and throws that newspaper. And then, we used to take some sections, and it's a part of the daily culture, right? So I'm giving a different example, and then I'll slowly get into technology. So what I'm trying to tell you is, over a period of time, I realized that, okay, in the social media that we're living in right now and social media channels that we have, you will get all the important news to you. You can't stop it. You don't have to go seek out the news. News will come to you if it is important, right? And of course, one of the biggest thing I used to feel, hey, I'm a professional speaker. I'm speaking all over the world. I need to know what are the in things about, I should not feel lost out. But then I realized that, okay, I took a bold list to see, okay, let me do like 1 month project of without news. Can I still know about the latest things that are happening in the world? And can I still weave the latest trends into my speeches? And bingo, there was no difference whatsoever. Okay, sorry for the sidetrack. What I'm trying to tell you is sometimes we feel that we can't live without technology. I used to feel that I can't live without news, but I realized that news was, I turned off the news, I'm a more productive person. So similarly, that's the reason why I am very, very selective on what kind of media that I use. So coming back to technology distractions, here's what is an actual word in the Oxford Dictionary, and probably it's every other dictionary right now. It's called digital detox. That's a word.
Yep.
Digital detox. Digital detox is the conscious act of staying away, refraining from any kind of digital device for a set period of time.
Yes.
And this is such a, in fact, this is such an important thing that in today's world, even though you're feeling that you're the CEO of a company, you have got 20 people or 200 people reporting to you, I can tell you, if you unplug for a set period of time, do a digital detox and communicate to your team that for these 30 minutes I'm not available, and I can tell you after the end of the 30 minutes, the earth is still going around the sun, the world is exactly the same. The only thing is you become a better person, because those 30 minutes or those 45 minutes or those 1 hour will actually help you to reflect about what's happening in your life. The reason I love this question simply because it exactly goes well with my input and output. Because if you're doing input, where is the time for output? So taking a forced break from technology actually helps us to get away from this. And the other aspect is, this is very, very interesting for me. It's something very dear to me, is not only people are getting distracted, the more dangerous thing is people are addicted to distractions. They want distractions. Their life has become a distracted mind. And I'll give a simple example. Let's talk about the good old days before the smartphone.
Now we're sounding like old fogies, in our days, we used to.
Exactly. So the good old days is before the smartphone. Now, before the smartphone, people used to really enjoy reading books, right? And I can tell you, even myself, even though I'm a voracious reader, I can tell you that my number of books that I read right now compared to before smartphones has gone down. And this is true for many people. And I can tell you, this is what's happening. People are reading the book, and many people have reported this to me, that they're reading the book and there is no distraction. There is no distraction. There is no notification on the phone. There's nothing. You're reading and suddenly you stop reading and then you go reach out to your phone without the notification. Why? Because we need a distraction. We want to know what's happening everywhere. Otherwise, we feel that we're missing out. And I can tell you one thing, what we're missing out is reaching our goals. What we're missing out is reaching our potential. What we're missing out is giving that quality time for ourselves and our family. Other than that, everything else can stay where it is. Because this is what I say, you should be only giving value to people who you serve, your family, your clients, your boss, your subordinates. So, and rest of the thing, come on. I don't know. There's maybe a certain time in the day where you can allocate for all these things, but for most of the time, you got to be productive. And again, I'm not saying hustle, and until you break the balance. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, hey, start with 20 minutes. Okay, start with 20 minutes. And that brings me back to, because now you asked me this question again, that brings me back to a very old book I've read. It's a very popular book. It's called Think and Grow Rich, by Napoleon Hill. And one of the things that he talks about when he interviewed all these people, again, there's a controversy whether he really interviewed these people or not. Let's not go there. But I'll just believe it for the time being. So one of the things that it is true, and also I've now recently studied more these big MNC CEOs. Most of them, they have a reflective period in their time. And Napoleon Hill called it, all these billionaires back then, I'm talking about 1935, they used to spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes every day for, in Napoleon Hill's words, sitting for ideas.
Okay.
sitting for ideas. So that is basically, there's no input, it's just output. So you just, just let your brain go, get into the reflective mode. So I'm not sure I mean, you asked me how to get away from technology. I'm asking you get away from technology. So I didn't know if I'm not sure if I've answered the question, but my point was, take a forced break for 20 minutes and you will feel good. And of course, the first 2, 3, 4 days, it's so difficult. You will have withdrawal symptoms. You want to reach out to the phone and you'll think that the world is collapsing. But then if you pass that first 3, 4, 5 days, then, for example, I have sessions with, which I do in my life where, sometimes like 3, 4 hours, I'm not checking my phone or email, and I have batches of time, and only then I check my emails. And I can tell you, my life has not changed any bad. Clients are not disliking me because I don't quickly reply their emails, because they know that this is when I send the emails. If it's, of course, some of them urgent, you reply them urgent. But so that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So in your family, how many children do you have? Is it 2 or 1?
Two boys.
2 boys. How do you get them away from technology?
Yes, I think my video froze. We're talking about technology, and now we've got technology issues. Okay, so sometimes this camera is an issue. Okay, we're back. Okay, so this has been a big and a difficult decision, actually, because okay, here's the thing. I told you about the IMMERSE thing when I did it for like 3 months and all that. And this is what I tend to do. I realize that this is what I tend to do. Again, when we talk about the steps in the output principle, I'll tell you that this is also one of the steps. Is before I became a parent, when my wife was pregnant with the first child, my wife and I, we started doing research on, because first time parents, we don't know what we don't know. So started researching on books and technology. And I realized that even people like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, these are the tech gurus, tech moguls. They've got billion-dollar companies, and all they do is devices, right? And they had, what is called as quota time, curfew time, in their house for digital devices for their kids. And I was thinking, wow, I mean, why is this not popular? Why many people don't know about this? Because we automatically assume that, okay, this guy, he owns iPhone brand, he owns the Apple brand, so their kids must be having the largest iPad in their house, and they must jumping on the iPad. They have iPad slides. I don't know. That's what I used to think, and say, wow, he's got a quota on that. I mean, again, this is based on some of the interviews that I didn't know personally these people, but this is what I've read about these people. And then I've read a lot of information about how the human brain work and how the kids' brain work. And the same damage that people are doing to themselves, the same damage they're getting into the children also, because one of the best things that you can do to get your child to be creative and, do really good things in their life is get them into that non-input mode. Play, talk, discuss, build things together. So that is when people learn. But nowadays what's happening is, I've read this somewhere that, iPhones and all these digital devices have become pacifiers for kids. Okay. Kid is crying, young kid is crying, you put a pacifier, boom, he or she stops crying, right? But for the older kids, the pacifier is, okay, he's cranky. Okay, just give me a phone, man. So that's what, we made a rule that for the first 2 years of their life, they will not get any screen time at all, 0 screen time for the first 2 years, because it's based on the research that I've done, that first 2 years is where, the brain is developing, and we don't want them to dumb it by, too much involvement, because a little bit of involvement is okay. But then if it is addictive for us, it'll be even more addictive for the kid. And I've seen that, because now I've seen, prams and trolleys that kids have, that have iPad slot in them. And I think that is not a good thing. So anyway, see, if you're a parent and, you are giving a lot of iPhones and iPads, well, I have no problem with that. But since Rohit asking me this question, and my answer for that is, for the first 2 years, absolutely no. And now we have a quota again. So on a weekday, how much is it? On a weekend, how much is it? And they know it and they respect that. And then the other thing is, the most important thing is, let's say, for example, you have a goal, you have a kind of a rule in your house that you only get 1 hour phone. That's it. You only get 1 hour phone. That's it. Oh, the kid will say, but all my friends are getting 5 hours of phone. And what you need to do is, if you just say you'll only get 1 hour of phone, he's going to be cranky still. But you need to actually give them time, spend time with them, quality time. So there is a sacrifice and it's hard. And if those of you know kids, I've got one 4-year-old and one 10-year-old, and spending time with them, if they're cranking and all that, it's really, really hard work. But I think they're enjoying it, and they're smart, and I can see that they're really enjoying this thing. And so that is my answer.
Okay.
So it's timed things, and they got used to this as well. And I think that's what it's going to be.
Okay.
And also we lead by example. So we are not on the phone, my wife and I, we're not on the phone all the time. When we are with the kids, we put the phone in a different room, literally. And only when we hear a beep, then we go out of the room. So it's not, they know that, okay, this is family time, 100% quality time. So lead by example.
Okay. Makes perfect sense. Now, so the output principle, how does it relate to your principle of being focused?
Yes. Okay, so let me just walk you through, because in fact, this output, I love this output principle so much, is because in fact, I have a membership program where this is exactly the only thing I teach them every month is how to be a person who has the output mindset. So you asked about the focus. Let me explain to you some of the things that I do in the club. It's not a real club, online club. In the output club.
It's the educational club, people.
It is actually. So a few things actually. So the very first thing that you want to do when you want to have the output mindset, and your question is about focus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll all these 5 things will cover everything that I'm going to talk about here. Okay. The first and foremost thing, if you want to get extraordinary results in your life, is number 1, you can't escape this, is learn. You have to be a lifelong learner. And in today's information, that's the reason why I say your learning ability decides your earning capacity. Now, some of you hear, hey, why do you link everything with money? I'm not linking it with money. I'm just saying that, hey, we do jobs, we do professions, and we need money. And if you're a fast learner, the chance of you making more money are higher. I'm not saying that I'm not a money-minded person. So I just want to give that disclaimer. But your learning ability decides earning capacity. So we have to learn. But the thing is, I have this concept called as HILO and LIHO, HILO, LIHO. So HILO is high input and low output.
Okay.
And that is not a good thing. And that is actually what dumps us, and that is what actually makes us lazy to take action, because it's like sugar, we just want to take more learning, more learning, give me more learning, give me more learning. But then we become so sensitized to that thing, and then we don't want to take action. So don't have high input, low output, rather do the opposite, low input, high output. And the other thing is, whenever you're learning, just make extra precaution that you learn from the right source. Now, internet is a great thing and also the worst thing at the same time, because you can go online and search for how to make fried rice, for example. Recently this fried rice
That's all over the internet.
Let's not name names or whatever that thing. I'm just random example. So there are some good ways of making fried rice. There are some bad ways of making fried rice, and there are some extraordinary ways of making fried rice, and there's worse ways of making fried rice. So similarly, how to conduct an interview, or how to write a proposal. So my point is, get the information, the learning from the right resource and the right person, and that is going to save a ton of time, because the next step. Okay. Because normally I don't talk about the focus here, but since you asked a question, let me weave focus into learning. Now, at the time of learning, now you need to have, many people have this goal that, I want to learn something every day, a fantastic goal. But my point is, whenever you have a goal of learning, make it count every second. When you have decided that I will take out 20 minutes of my time for learning something, my suggestion is forget about the whole world, just focus on that thing and be in that, be in that really, I'm asking you to be in the input mode and 100% input mode, because you can't mix input and distractions, everything. So the technique that I tend to use is based on a Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro is working 25-minute blocks. So what I have is, I whenever I'm learning, I use this technique, which is 3, 50, 1, and 0.
Okay.
The moment I start learning, I take 3 deep breaths. Now, taking deep breaths looks like some mumbo jumbo. Come on, man. So you're from India, so definitely there has to be some meditation thing in this thing, right? So
We have almonds, we have meditation. Now we're going to have levitation as well soon.
yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's nothing to do with meditation or anything like that. It's not mumbo jumbo. This is actually based on science also. And that is the moment you take deep breaths, 3 deep breaths, it could be 5, it could be whatever. I just do 3, is you're actually sending a signal to your brain. I am getting into that zone.
Okay.
I mean, it could be a learning zone, it could be a focus zone, or even any other important thing that you want to do. Take a deep breath. This actually helps you to grounded and centered, and forget about what you've been doing like 10 minutes ago. Oh, I'm ready. And then, the brain, you can train your brain to do anything. Triggers, they call it triggers. So when you do this enough, the moment you take 3 deep breaths, you're triggering the brain that, hey, 3 deep breaths, focus time, 3 deep breaths, focus time, 3 deep breaths, focus time. So the moment you take the 3 breaths, you get into that focus zone automatically, right? That's number 1. So that is 3. It's very important. And next is 50. So I set a timer for 50 minutes. You could do 25 minutes, Pomodoro. I usually do 50 because I tried 25 minutes for a long time. I want to really go ahead with Pomodoro. I realized that 25 minutes is too short a time for me. For the kind of projects that I'm doing, it just goes just like that. So I said, okay, 50 minutes is a good time frame. And that is 50. And 1 is single tasking. Again, since you talked about focus, now one of the things that many people do a lot of things these days is, they are getting into multitasking. And there's research after research after research. They tell you that multitasking is not good for the brain. It's not good for the productivity. It's not good for your focus. And I can tell you it is worst for learning, because now we know that, come on, how many of you school teachers told you in your school, please pay
attention.
Everyone said it, but the only problem was your teachers didn't tell you how to pay attention. And now we know not only you have to pay attention. If you want to have world-class learning, you have to have 100% attention. And that is, when you're already learning, why not have 100%? It's the same thing. When you're working on a proposal, you have 100% proposal. When you're talking to your spouse, have 100% attention. When you're talking to a client, it should be for everything. But I mean, we're talking about learning for the time being. So the 1 is single tasking. Just focus on that one thing 100% of the time. Sorry, I just jumped a bit here because I was talking about learning and memory. So I was talking about single tasking. The reason why single tasking is critical in memory is, let's talk about the word multitasking. By definition, multitasking equals to not 100%.
Yes.
But we know that learning requires 100% attention. So if you're doing 100% attention, it's like, you are tied to a big rope and you're running a marathon. You can't move. It's just like that. So so that's the thing. So so we have 3, 50, 1 is single tasking, and 0 is in that 50 minutes, no distractions, no interruptions. Just make it a, treat this like, this is what you are, even in fact, go to that philosophical mode. This is what you're born to do for the next 50 minutes. Forget about the whole world. And I mean, it might look like, come on, man, if you want to do like that for everything, it's going to be boring. Now, I'm saying it's not boring. You'll get to breakthrough results in your life, because most people, they can't even focus for 5 minutes with world-class focus. If you can do 50 minutes of world-class focus, it's totally going to ramp up every area of your life. Try it out and see. So again, all these 4 things are important. If you don't start with 3 breaths, you don't get into the focus zone the next time quickly. If you don't do 15 minutes, then, you don't train your brain, because today I'll do 5 minutes, tomorrow I'll do 20 minutes, next day I'll do 30 minutes. You're training your brain. Hey, brain, let's build up the stamina to sit in one place for 50 minutes. And I have that stamina. So that's 50 minutes. Single tasking, important for the way the human brain works, because now we know that the human brain cannot even multitask. It's not even designed to multitask. That's the reason why the 1 is important, and 0 is distracts and interruptions that actually reduces your quality of your learning as well. So that is all under learning. And I think I answered the question as to how you can focus better. In fact, let me ask you this question for all of you who are watching right now. If you had only 1 session in a day, only 1 session in a day, where you have a 3 deep breaths, you have 50 minutes, you focused on doing one thing only, and you had 0 distractions, Do you think, if you can, I mean, forget about whether you can or not, if you can just squeeze in that one session a day, do you think it's going to make a huge impact on your productivity, a huge impact on your performance, a huge impact on the way you do the things? And you know the answer.
Yeah.
And it starts with that one session, and then you become addicted, because people are becoming addicted to learning. Now you become addicted to focus sessions, because you can get so much done in that 15-minute session when you do this in this fashion, right? So that's the first step, which is learn. And quickly, let's go to the second step, and this is apply. Again, don't be stuck in the learning. This is where LIHO, low input and high output, right? So you take the information and you apply it immediately. In fact, this is what I do. Whenever I'm learning, I take two kinds of notes. Notes number one, what are the key things that I'm learning? Notes number two, what are the actions I need to do? And that is what is game changing for me, because all learning at some point will, I mean, I'm not saying all learning. For example, if you're reading Harry Potter, of course, you can't use it. You can try those spells. I'm not sure it's going to work or not, but you can do the output. But not all learning, not all input can be outputted. But most of the things that we do in our life, we all can do the output. So we quickly go from learning to apply. And that is the first thing. And the reason why people don't do that is because also there are a lot of things. And one of the big things is fear of failure and overwhelm. So again, like I said, lifelong implementation is always better than lifelong learning. So you learn and you apply immediately. And then comes the next step of the output principle. And that is to reflect.
Okay.
Now, we talked about this already, talked about sitting for ideas and getting into that thing, digital detox. You asked me that question already beforehand, so it's easy now. So the thing is, if you don't make it a habit to reflect, you are going to regret for sure. Because people who have achieved extraordinary success in their life, they had these reflective moments a lot, and they got these breakthrough ideas in those reflective modes. No one gets a breakthrough idea when they're in the, when they're, not no one, let's cancel that. I mean, most people do not get the ideas, great ideas, when they're running and when they're in that zone. Most people get great ideas when they're relaxing. I mean, talk about, people tell me all the time, Nishant, why is it that I get great ideas while I'm in the shower? And so unfortunate, I can't write things down. And by the time I'm out of the shower, I forget what that idea was.
Have some more nuts.
Have some nuts in the shower, maybe in that case, right? Anyway, so the thing is, why do you get, and people say, hey, when I'm driving, I had this great idea. Why? No input. You're just relaxing. You're allowing the brain to just go. This is what the brain does. The brain doesn't rest. You can rest. The brain doesn't rest. It's connecting dots all the time, making connections to the information that we learn, and boom, that's a mind-blowing idea. But you got to give the brain a chance to connect the dots, and that is where the reflective comes in. So you asked me a great question about my children and all that stuff. That is where digital detox comes in. So we win a set amount of time for digital detox, and that is how you can do the review and also reflect. Now reflect is also in a way to see, okay, I'm learning and applying. And have you seen people, I mean, I see these people all the time where I don't do jogging, I don't do exercise, but I do exercise at home. I do those 7-minute exercise and all that stuff. I do it regularly at home, doing it for many years. But sometimes I get this thing, I see people posting all the time, it's okay, get out, get the fresh air, you'll have a good mood and all that. So I get excited and say, okay, go out and really have fun. And I see some people and who are at a specific shape, okay, whatever that specific shape is. And then after 3-4 days, I'm thinking, okay, you know what, I'm more of a, at home person. So I could get back to at home. And then I get like 1-2 months later, again, I get the feeling that I should go out. When I go out, I see the same people. And the interesting thing is, the people who are fit 1 month ago, they are fit even now. The people who are not fit 1 month ago, they have been doing this every day. They're still not fit. And I have seen people like this for years. I'm not even kidding. Because I'm living in the same house right now for this like 13 years now. And I see people just right outside my window is a jogging track. So
Yeah.
I see people all the time, and these people, like last 7, 8 years, they've not changed. And this is where the problem is. The reflect is missing. So these people, now come on, are they not learning? Yeah, don't tell me that they don't go to YouTube, they don't read books on fitness. They do the learning. They know all that learning. Are they not applying? They are working hard under the sun, sweating like crazy. They are working. But the problem is they're not getting the results. Sometimes in our life, we consistently take action and we feel burnout and we're feeling that, oh my goodness, I mean, I've been working there crazy. Why there is no progress? Why I cannot go to the next level? Why I can't see the high performance? It's time to relax. It's time to pause. It's time to reflect and think, okay, wait a minute. What's happening in my life? And those questions are the transformational questions in your life, because, and I do this every day, and I really highly recommend people to do this also. In fact, I have a whole technique of how do you reflect. If you want to improve your memory, there's some reflective exercise. I do that. I talk about in my Supercharging Memory learning program. But the thing is, you have to reflect, and at a bare minimum reflection, you could think about, okay, what happened right today, what didn't go right today, and what can I improve. That's a bare 3 things. Just these are the guiding principles of how we can make changes. Now, it's not that we don't ask these questions, but if you make it a practice to ask these questions as a part of our routine, then what happens is it gives value. It adds value to the whole thing. That's the reason why you do the reflect. And after, so now we've learned, we applied, and then the reflect is important to ensure that, hey, am I going in the right direction or not? And the reflection will actually help you. Then you say, oh, you know what? I've been doing the wrong thing all my life. Oh, I need to change the way certain things. Like, for example, you suddenly realize that, okay, eating nuts is not good. I need to exercise my brain. so then you do the right thing. And once you realize what works, this is where the magic happens. Immerse. Immerse. This is the really getting into that output zone. You get into the output zone. So let's talk about a simple example. Let's say you're a leader, okay? And you want to be a better leader, right? So you learn about leadership principles, blah, 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 blah. And then you apply those things in your life. And then you think that, holy cow, I'm still the same leader. I mean, I'm not having more impact than what you used to do in the past.
Yeah.
I'm not able to, create that kind of authority, or the things are not changing as much. So then it's reflect more. And then you think, okay. And then you go back and you learn, apply. And then finally you come to reflect and you finalize a process. And then you say, okay, this works now. Oh, I can see people now changing. I'm able to have more influence. I'm able to do things in a better fashion. There's less friction. Things are smooth now. And then you have a goal. You have a project that, okay, I'm going to do this 10-day immersion mode. 10 days, go crazy on that. And I realized that those 3 months when I broke all the national records in India, I was a kid. And the only reason I immersed is because I had nothing else to do. I had no girlfriend. I have no money. I have nothing. I only had a problem at that. And my problem was a bad memory. And I just got introduced to some new things. And the only thing I could do was immerse. And looking back, those 3 months I realized something really, and I realized that most of the things, like for example, breaking Guinness record, it's not easy. But I immersed. And then I realized that. So a lot of things, I mean, again, same thing. Most people, if you have achieved a breakthrough results in your life, you had those immersive moments in your life as well. My question is, why not bring that up again and make it a part of your routine, make it a part of your system, and then you become that immersion mode as well. So you have to have those things, because just, again, everyone knows small action, small results, mighty action, mighty results. But what I say is, without mighty action, you'll only achieve a tiny fraction of what you can achieve. So without action, you only achieve a tiny fraction of what you can achieve. So you need to do that immersion mode and a mighty immersion mode. And that is what you do. And that is where the output really goes in. And then that is what sinks in and becomes second nature to you, right? For example, a lot of people, they get into that, some people, they're like, oh man, this guy is so natural. This girl is so good on camera. I mean, they don't have to prepare at all. Why is that? Because they had those immersion moments. Oh, this person, he can solve this code in just like a couple of minutes. I don't know, I've been working on this for like 20 minutes. And this guy, he can look at it and boom, he can just, oh yes, because he was in that immersion mode, right? So people who are so-called, instant troubleshooters, they are troubleshooters is simply because they had those immersion moments, right? So how do you get to that second nature is by immersion, okay? And then, so that you have, okay, yeah, the last thing. So so far we've learned, we applied, we reflected and ensured we're in the right track, we're immersed. And then the last one is mastermind. You can't achieve extraordinary, I mean, I'll not say you can't, I'll take back. It is difficult to achieve extraordinary results in your life if you are doing it solo. You need someone who can be accountable, who you are accountable to, right? That is where mastermind comes. Now, mastermind, as you know, that it's usually a group of people. Then there's no set number. It could be 3, 4, 5 people. A group of people who have similar values, similar goals, and who trust each other so very well that they can share the best of secrets. And I mean, ideally, that should be what a mastermind group is supposed to be. And the reason why the mastermind group is because you heard this before many times, that environment beats willpower, right? So how many times, I'll tell you an example. So I became a vegetarian. It's been 1 year now, but before I was a vegetarian, I was eating all kinds of food. And in McDonald's, one of the things, and people hate me for this when I say this, but one of my favorite food is McSpicy. And I don't know if you have it in Dubai. Do you have the McSpicy?
Well, when I used to eat McDonald's and I used to eat meat, I've been a vegetarian for a long time. They didn't have McSpice. They had the McChicken at that time. Loved it.
Okay, so
Loved
we had this McSpicy, and I was like, McDonald's means, okay, people say, why do you eat burgers at McDonald's and you think they're great? I mean, that's me, man. That's what you get. So that's Nishant. Nishant is the guy who likes McSpicy. I used to.
Note, it is not nuts. It is McDonald's he's having.
Of course, yes.
And still he's got a great memory.
So yeah, McSpicy, right? Okay. This is a more anecdotal thing, but I just want to make a point here is almost every time, the moment I used to think that, I used to go to McSpicy, but I will not make a meal. I'll just eat the McSpicy, or I will not I will have a meal, but I will not upsize. Okay. Now what happens is, today I will eat just the burger, nothing else, just the burger, nothing else, just the burger, nothing else. Stand in the queue, sit in the thing. And then the environment that they have is they ask you some simple questions like, would you like to make it a meal? And boom, you blurt it out.
Would you like to upsize it?
And then you're upsize. And usually sometimes I say no, but one time, so I had this thing like, okay, would you like the burger? Yes. Would you like to make it a meal? Okay, man. Okay. Would you like to upsize it? I said, no. And then the guy says, it's only 20 cents more.
Okay, just give it to me.
What? You think I don't have 20 cents? Give it to me, man. I mean, I'm not saying that, but the thing is, why do we do that? Environment. I had the willpower. That I want to eat just the burger. But the moment I went there, I had this environment that is so compelling that I'm saying yes to it. And I regret after that, holy cow, why did I even eat this thing? Anyway, the point here is, of course, I think I gave a very, very simple example, but let's make it a little bit more serious now. Let's talk about a group of people that you have, and all of them have similar goals, or all of them are, having the similar values. And then you get together in a regular group, and let's say, you're slacking off. Okay. You're not doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing, and then you're not doing well, and things are not good. And we have these moments time to time. We lose our mojo, things go bad. We have those feelings of going down, especially things right now challenging. We all have these moments, but it is in these moments where the mastermind can be really, really effective, because you're feeling down. And then you go there, and then those people, they're like, some of them are like on fire. Oh, you know what? I did this, I did that. So what? And you did those? It's an awareness. So people realize that, okay, even in these challenging times, people are still doing the things. And also it's a group of, sometimes you feel that accountability thing. So if you don't have a proper accountability, at least have a proper mastermind, at least have an accountability partner. And here's the secret. The accountability partner can be your child.
Oh, wow.
It can be a child. Why not? Right? It
Mm.
doesn't have to be your boss, or it can be a spouse, it can be a child. And you can tell your child that, hey, you know what? By the end of this today, I will complete this project. So ask me back at 7 o'clock whether you've done it or not. So the
Mm.
kid will come and say, Papa, have you done it? Or Mom, have you done it? So that's enough. Or
Mm.
if that's not enough, change the accountability partner. So usually, if you are reporting to someone, usually there is some weightage to it. Again, my camera is frozen. I'll come back in a second. But that is the thing, you need to have that accountability. You need to have that mastermind. And that is one of the other things that you have. Okay, I think I'm not getting it. We'll just keep this for a while and I'll try to
No
keep
worries.
working on it. So this, Rohit, is what the whole 5 steps of accountability, 5 steps of the output process is. And what I'm trying to tell you, okay, let me do one thing. I'm going to do something which is not recommended in a live show. I'm going to change a camera, and you might see something that you should not be seeing. Hopefully not.
As long as you're wearing clothes.
I am. Okay. Oh, now all the charm, all the glow is gone. See the non.
All the lights, everything. Now this is total raw.
This is, man. Absolutely. So let me increase the screen brightness. Okay, and not bad actually.
Yeah.
All right.
Looking smart.
So yeah, so that is what the output principle is all about. Is make it a point to focus on output, and the way to do that is doing these steps. And one of the reasons why I'll ask you this question right now.
Yeah.
Do you know a specific action that you have to do on a scale of from 1 to 10? You know that if you have to take this action to a level of 10, but you're not doing it, right?
Yes, it is.
So I'm asking this question to all of you, right? So I know this. So the thing is, we know we have to take this action, but then we don't do it, right? So the output is not there. So again, why? It's overwhelm. One of the reasons. It's a perfectionist trap. Another reason. It's about fear of judgment, what other people will think. Now, all these things will melt away if you learn, you apply. The moment you learn and apply, you can do the reflect and correction and alignment and adjustment and modification later on. First, learn, boom, apply, because then you give yourself the right to make mistakes. It's perfectly fine, because you heard this classic thing: ready, aim, fire. You get ready, then you aim, and then you fire. And the problem is, most people are spending a lot of time on readying and aiming. By the time you're firing, the target has moved away, and then you go back to readying and aiming. And my suggestion is ready, get ready, and maybe you not get ready, start firing, and then slowly adjust. That's what you do. And that's what the reflect will come in, right? So you learn, you apply, you reflect, and you immerse, and then you have a group that you support. And that is where that is how you can have better results. That is how you can learn faster. That is how you can focus better. And that is how you can have this high performance mindset, with the help of which it'll be much more easier for you to achieve the goals that you have in your life. And I apply this in all areas of my life, whether it's my business or online programs or doing things like this. I apply this all the time. And I can see, and not only me, but people, I do this workshop, I do this keynote presentations in companies, and they go through this thing, they think that, oh yes, this is a way in which things can be done. And of course, when companies are hiring me, we go deeper into their examples and customization. But I'm just telling you the framework. It just goes into, and that is the thing, man, Rohit.
So if people want to get into contact with you, how do they do that? Because there's a lot of information over here, and I can see a lot of practical information coming through, because you talk about learning, you talk about applying it, you talk about reflecting. Immersing is a massive part of it, and then that mastermind part too. So not being solo, all of them being very, very crucial. And two phrases come into my mind to me, to summarize it, is trial and error. You try it out, errors happen, and the reflection parts allows you to redo it. So trial and error, trial and error. That's how we learn. The second which part comes to me is you're talking about, the immersing, the mastermind is where I think about it being just do it. Get into that movement of just do it. Doesn't matter if you make a mistake. Doesn't matter if you mess it all up. Just give it a go. And those things which are going to allow you to move forward. And there's so much I know because you've been doing this so for so many years. You came at a point where there was no, that memory was at a low, attention span was a low, there was no focus, but you built yourself, you develop yourself, and you keep on evolving in this. How can people out there get in touch with you? How can they get resources from you? How can they actually join one of your online courses? What can they do?
Okay, yeah, thanks so much for that, Rohit. And the first thing is, I'll definitely encourage all of you to go and type Nishant Kasibhatla into YouTube. You will see my first channel, and every week I post a new video on topics such as mindset, focus, memory, output. All these are my core topics. So every week I talk about that. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And yeah, that's number one. That's number one you can do. Number two is my website is, hopefully you'll remember this. It's remembernishant.com.
It's so easy. Remember Nishant. That's all like. Even when I check your stuff up, I say, remember Nishant. That's easy.
So it's remembernishant.com. That's where, you get information about my courses, my coaching, my keynotes and everything. And also I have something which is called as a 7-step daily routine, peak mental performance daily routine. Okay. Which I'm happy to give a copy to all the people. So I'll send the link to you, and we can put it in the description somewhere. Yeah. So when you click on that link, you put in your name and email address, and you get that 7. And these are the 7 things that I do every day of my life. We are creatures of habit. And my question is, whether you believe it or not, whether you like it or not, whether you agree it or not, you already have a routine. The only question is that routine empowering you or not empowering you? So one of the high performance routine that I have is I have the 7 things. I do it every day, and I'm more than happy to share that with you. And of course, that covers all these things. So that's the best way. And also you get more information from me that way. So I'll send the link to you, Rohit, and so you can put it across in the description. People can sign up for that.
Great. Thank you so much for that. So I've got, this is coming to the end of the interview of this talk. This is a very, very crucial question. First question, maybe we'll go to a second question. First question is, whose memory is better, yours or your wife's?
That's okay. My wife is not here.
So careful what you say. This is being recorded.
Oh yeah. So my wife's memory then. But having said that, it also depends on, if it is like, usually they say that a woman's memory is usually better than a man's memory. Usually that's what they say. But again, it's stereotyping. I would say that it all depends on how much effort you put in. So if it has to do with day-to-day things and all that stuff, my wife has got super sharp memory, and it's like unbelievable. And that's a good question you asked me, because many people ask me, oh Nishant, that means you don't forget, huh? So you know everything. You forget everything. You remember everything. The answer is absolutely no. I forget a lot. So my point is very simple. Having a good memory, having a good learning capability doesn't mean you become immune to forgetting. It just means that I'm much better than most other people who are not using these techniques. So I remember more than most of the people, and I forget less than most of the people. That's all it means, right? I do forget things. I can tell you it's a human nature. We all do that. So in some areas, of course, my memory is good. In many things that we have to do in our house and all that stuff, my wife's memory is like near photographic. When do we buy this? Where? Which retailer? Who was the person who was dealing with? And she's really good with that. So yeah, so it's a mix.
Very well answered. Very well answered. Okay. Second question. Yeah. And this is we'll close it up. Do you remember your wife's name? Because most husbands forget their wives' names.
Names? What?
Forget their wife's name.
Can't be.
It's like honey, sweetheart, but they can't.
Okay, so yeah, definitely I remember that, because that reminds me that there's a guy who. A person A asks a person B, hey, what is your wife's name? And then he says, what is the, the wrong example. So just forget about it. So yeah, I just want to say something, but I realized that, okay, the punchline doesn't add to what we're talking about. So just forget about that. The answer is yes. I remember my wife's name. It's Rakhi. Definitely. Rakhi. So I remember the spelling.
Is there
also
a big board in front of you which says Rakhi over there?
So, I mean, yeah, so no, I mean, I don't think anyone forgets their wife's name, but I did hear about some people who go to the mall after some shopping, came back home alone and got a call from the wife. Where the hell are you? And that day, the night, you can imagine what would have happened.
I can just imagine. Nishant, thank you so much for your time. Truly, truly appreciate it. This has been a massive, massive eye opener for me personally. And I'm sure, 100% sure, it is going to be a massive eye opener for the people who are going to listen to it later and for the people who currently listen to it. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Rohit. Really, it was great speaking with you.
Thank you. Take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Take care.
Thank you. Same to you. Bye.
Stop.